What's happening, Shredder Nation? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to a very, very special edition of Living the Shredder Life and ERShred Mindset Call. I'm your host, Coach Jesse. This is your other host. I'm going to call you Coach Crystal because really you are
Okay.
Coach Crystal. But if you don't know Crystal, this is Crystal Escobar. She is one of my very good, near and dear friends. Most importantly, she's also the co-founder of ERShred, which is obviously the best freaking health protocol on the face of this planet. She is the loving partner to Captain Caveman, Sean Escobar, if you haven't put those two together. Um, Crystal is our ERShred mindset coach. And, she is probably one of the hardest working people I know. I've known you now for what, 8 years, Crystal? And
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell everybody, I want to set the stage before we dive into this epic call, because I hope everybody has, like I have, a notebook and a pen. Because for me, this is like I'm so excited. I almost feel like I'm taking advantage because I'm getting a free coaching session, and I hope people can view it this way. Crystal is somebody that I've watched for the last 8 years put in all the hard work, all the emotional work, thousands of hours of educational study, self study. She's been helped by coaches. She's very open about that. I love that about her. She's probably she is the open book of open books. If you've watched her journey, and it's just been so cool, Crystal, to grow with you, develop with you, and watch you be able to do this and step into it. And now here you are, knowing the power of life coaching. You turned around and you said, "Hey, people need to hear that. People need what I needed." And I respect that and admire that about you so much. And the fact that you show up here every month, giving this away for free, just serving people and helping people. So I hope people take advantage. Crystal, like I said, is a life coach. She's an author. She's a podcaster. She's a mom. She's a wife. She's an entrepreneur. She's just a badass. So I hope that you guys enjoy this special edition where we joined forces, brought the two calls together, to hopefully help you guys launch into the new year, where in 2023, it's up to me. That's the slogan, right? It's up to me
Mm-hmm.
in 2023. And what we're going to talk about tonight was mindset and intention and goals and how to help hopefully get you guys a little more focused, a little more centered. I'm so excited to share this. So, Crystal, I'm done gushing on you. Um, I hope it wasn't too much, but
Oh my gosh, you're the best at edifying and introducing people. Like seriously, you make me feel so good. And
well,
I
you
see how
are
you do
good.
that for so
You
many
are
people.
good. Yeah, you are good. That's easy when you are good. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but I want to turn this over to you, the expert and in this field. I volunteered to obviously be, whatever I can be for you tonight, and I guess your client, and to help people and share with people. So I hope to just show up raw, real, and vulnerable and authentic for people. And here we go. Deep breaths.
Yes, thank you so much, Jesse. Again, thank you for how you are so intricate and you're detailed when introducing people. Like I've just noticed that about the how detail oriented you are with these calls and how consistent you have been. Like first I just want
Thank
to
you.
like gush on you for a minute because we are going to we're after I have this little presentation I want to share with everybody, but I am going to the second half of the call. We're going to be Jesse's going to be back on with me, and I'm excited to not only ask you a few questions, but also this is like your chance to put your everything that you're hoping to accomplish this year, like put it out there in the
Mm.
universe publicly, and we all know how powerful that can be. So not only is it going to be like awesome for you to get to do this, but for so many of us, you inspire us already. And to get to hear like what your deep personal goals are for this year and how we can all kind of be on the journey with you and watch you grow, watch you manifest the things that you're hoping to manifest this year. And before I get started on what I wanted to share tonight, I just want to tell everybody how grateful Sean and I are for Jesse and the amount of time that he has put into building the foundation of ERShred. Like, he has literally spent so much of his time for free. Like, you are saying like that about me, but I'm just like, no, Jesse, like, holy cow, the amount of time and energy that you have given to the community. I am just so, Sean and I are so grateful for that, and how consistent you've been. I think Sean said you've only missed like 2 weeks of your weekly call in the last 2.5 years.
Total, yeah, I
That's
think something about
remarkable.
that.
You know, like,
Yeah,
that's consistency and dedication. Like, that is such a great example for so much for the community to see how you, our health coach, can be that consistent, and you're just such a great example for all of us. And this year is just a huge turning point for all of us, I feel, when it comes to actually diving into building our own businesses. You have dedicated so much to ERShred and getting everything in order, along with everybody else on the board, Heather and Susan, and everyone who has made sure that we have all of the guides and the information and a good solid foundation in place, so that now we all feel like ready to just go after it. And it's just been such a beautiful thing to watch how everything has come together so beautifully. And now with New Year kickoff, and how the energy that brought for ERShred, it's just really exciting, a really exciting time. So yeah, so I'm gonna have Jesse come back on in just a little bit, but thank you again for the introduction. Also, back to what you were saying about all the life coaching that I have received, and why I now feel really passionate about it, is because of what I learned about the brain. Like, I just didn't understand what was happening to me, like, the majority of my life. My brain, my emotions, my the biology and physiology. Like, once I started to understand how my brain functioned, that's when I started having these aha moments, and I started to make real changes. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the brain and some of the foundation of the things that have helped me the most. So yeah, I created a workbook and I sent it out in the newsletter. So most of you probably have that. And the purpose of the workbook was to help you get really detailed about the person that you're wanting to step into, because it's up to you. It's up to me in 2023. And once you know that of that person, once you know of every last detail of how this person spends their time, what kinds of personality, like how they manage their emotions, what emotions do they feel often, how do they hold themselves, when you can really get detailed and then start visualizing that, that's how you can really step into it. So we've often heard our minds described as the monkey mind, the chaos, the constant thoughts going on in our heads. We've heard it referred to as the monkey mind. But tonight I want to talk about your dog brain. And let me explain. So I recently I listened to a lot of different things, but more recently I was listening to an interview with Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld. And I'm just really fascinated by what he's been able to accomplish with his, famous sitcom from the 90s. Like, we all love it. I'm sure every single one has seen a couple episodes at least. But that sitcom has actually become one of the most acclaimed sitcoms of all time. So I think it's pretty remarkable what he has created. So just listening to a little bit of the life advice that he has to give, it has really interested me. And so anyway, I was listening to this interview, and he was sharing some of his best life advice, and he was describing the brain as this. And I was trying to practice like doing his voice, but I can't even get it right. I was like, how can I like imitate Jerry Seinfeld? I can't do it. So, but he said, the stupid little dog that, your brain is the stupid little dog that you can easily trick. Does that sound like Seinfeld? He's hard to imitate. So anyway, the picture that came to my mind when he said this was, those dogs that don't come when you call it, spends its day chasing its tail, tearing apart your house, eating nasty snot-filled tissues from the trash. Like that's the visual that I had when I heard him say this. So, um, although I do love Jerry's slightly grumpy observational humor, it really did remind me of the power of words and how language really plays such a huge role in how we perceive and understand the world. So anytime I go to watch movies on Netflix, I'm always like searching for the movies that make me feel good, and in the same way I choose my movies, I prefer to see what makes me feel good in my mind. So, in order for Jerry's description of the brain to make me feel good, I had to switch out some of his words. And so, and some might call this like seeing the world through rose colored glasses, but it's not that necessarily. I'd say that the lens I choose has more of a rose, a hint of rose. You know, it still allows for me to see reality. I don't want to be blind to reality, but I do try to add a layer of a little bit of rose just so it makes me feel a little good, you know. So it's like I feel like the you are the artist and your brain is a paintbrush, and you get to decide what kind of picture you're going to paint. And so yeah, so also I thought it was funny that um did you know that the some of the happiest people are the most delusional? So I just thought that was a funny fact because I'm not necessarily going for delusional, but I did decide to make up my own word that is like delusional, but not not like crazy. So, and did you know that you can make up your own words? Like you literally can. It all depends on if it's gonna, who knows? It might catch on, and then a few centuries down the road, it could end up in the dictionary. So go ahead, start making up your own words. Create your language that has the right kind of definition for you and gives you those thought or those feelings that you want. The good feelings. So I did create my own word. And so instead of delusional, I say deluminate. It means imaginatively illuminating the picture you want to paint in your mind. So the brain, the dog brain, let's call it a golden retriever. So a golden retriever, we know is a breed that they are oftentimes the star in those feel good movies, and there's highly intelligent, and they just are those dogs that they end up, they're happy, they're loyal, playful, and they are commonly used for search and rescue dogs and even as service dogs. So they're quick learners, and it's just a wonderful breed. So when Seinfeld said this, I'm like, okay, instead of a stupid little dog, I'm going to think of the golden retriever, like beautiful, smart, intelligent, fast learners, service dogs. So the golden retrievers, they are quick learners, and they so but anyways, so I I'm really like into all of the spiritual and like mystical type stuff, but I also like to ground it in a little bit of science because I believe in science. I just want to make sure that I do just love to find the connection between the spiritual things that I'm choosing to believe in, and seeing if there's any science backing it. And so there's this part in your brain called the reticular activating system. And this is the scientific description of the law of attraction, basically, and manifestation. So the reticular activating system, this is our filter. It's our lens in which we perceive the world. And it what it does is it looks for and finds information that validates your current belief system. So language is what influences the reticular activating system. And once it's activated by the language, that's why I'm all about, the power of words and even creating your own words if needed, because it's really about activating that reticular activating system and understanding what words can set it in the right direction. So it goes on, it's activated by the language, and then it goes on this search and edit mission. It searches for the things that you're believing, and it edits out the rest. So sometimes this can work to our detriment if we're not aware that we might be literally blinded to reality. That's why I'm always trying to look at things from all different perspectives, because I learn a lot through Sean's eyes, just by I never want to say like I'm right and you're wrong, because it all depends on our language, what we're seeing in our heads. And so when I listen to other people more about how they are perceiving the world, then I can feel, I can understand more of reality, not just my reality. And that's really what my goal is to know that I have that kind of control over the reality I want to see, but also being compassionate and listening to other people's realities, and never ever thinking that I'm right and they're wrong and everybody should be doing things the way I am doing things. So just like the golden retriever, our reticular activating system, when given a command or a sentence, get it? I liked that. A scent. So when a dog is given a scent, then it can be trained to search, to retrieve, or to rescue. So that's why I feel like the dog analogy, with the brain, can really deluminate this type of picture that I want to see. So I went to Canva and I created my own golden retriever brain. See, it's a dog brain, your golden retriever dog brain. So I wrote down all the list of all the awesome traits that a golden retriever has. So our words, our language, or our story is literally like entering in an address into our GPS. So the RAS is your GPS. So as we all know, I'm a cat person. Does everybody know that? I got to make sure everybody knows I'm a cat person, because I don't think you knew that. I never post pictures of my cats ever. So it's the other day, or probably just like a month ago, Sean and I were watching this cute little documentary on Netflix about cats. And I really liked how they described the difference between dogs and cats. They said that dogs think you are God and cats think they are God. Don't you love that? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. So when our kids were little, I want to share a little story. When our kids were little, and whenever we had little friends come over to play, Sean would, he'd be so fun and cute and playful with them. And he would always ask them funny, silly questions. Like one of my favorites, he would always say, "Hey, is Mickey Mouse a dog or a cat?" I just thought it was so cute to watch the confusion on these little kids' faces. Like, wait, what? Wait, is he a dog or a cat? But really, it is a perfectly valid question, don't you think? Like Mickey Mouse may have been born a mouse, but maybe he identifies as a dog or a cat or both. Like it's a perfectly valid question. But my question to you is, your monkey brain a dog or a cat? Does it own you, or do you own it? So just like Mickey Mouse ultimately gets to decide what he is, you get to decide what your reticular activating system is. Is it a monkey or a mouse? Is it a dumb dog or an intelligent companion? But, one thing we got to keep in mind is, just because those golden retrievers are best known for all these incredible qualities, that doesn't mean that we can just hand over a golden retriever to someone who has special needs and call it a service dog. Obviously, it requires years of intense training And just like those golden retrievers need to be trained, so does our brain. And that's why it's important to understand that your words, your language, and your story that you are telling about yourself is going to continue to direct you to more of the same. So it's about getting clear on the way you are currently describing yourself or your capabilities, and redirecting that and switching out that story, being really deliberate about who it is that you want to be and how can you begin to emulate that person. How can you start incorporating certain habits that you know that this person just seems to know how to do. So we all know Jesse is one of the most disciplined people you've ever met. Like, he puts himself through hell for the purpose of, like, strengthening himself, bettering himself, proving to himself what he's capable of. And I am excited to talk with Jesse a little bit more about his already in place habits, because he's got some wonderful habits that he's already got these incredible habits in place. So what else, Jesse, are you wanting to add to what you have already accomplished? Because you've already accomplished so much. You help so many people. I know Sean said you wake up at 4 every morning. You've been doing daily journal writing and reading and podcasts, and you are all about personal development and educating yourself, and making sure that you are a person who follows through with what you say you're going to do. And you really do follow through. It's such a great example. So can you tell us a little bit more about some of the habits that you already have in place that have really benefited your life, and then go into what you are hoping to add to what you already have created?
Yes. um, wow. Okay. So first of all, you are far too kind. And I want to let everybody know that I am extremely dedicated and motivated on certain aspects of my life. And I think that's really important. And I really just want to be upfront and truthful. Um, while I am extremely disciplined and gung ho and driven, like nothing gets in the way on certain things, nutrition, fitness, the way I want to show up. I am just as much of a hot mess in so many other places of life that I want to work on. And I think that's really the story of like almost anybody, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't want people to, with social media today, Crystal, as we know, it's easy to fall into this false impression that just because somebody's got something going really good in one area, that means that like everything must be like okay.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I have what I like to call a lot of F it moments. Uh,
Yeah.
and I got to work through that. So, but to answer your question, so habits that I'm rock solid in every single day. And I'm going to share with you my most current because I'm always evolving. I'm always looking to re-examine. If something's not really serving me after I've started it for a while, I've learned to kind of throw it to the side and maybe just pull a little bit from it and keep it when I need it. But rock solid. So every single day when I wake up, 4 a.m., there is no snooze button. No snooze button. It's a habit.
So wait,
You got to.
like, tell me a little bit more. Like, do you have an alarm?
I do on my phone. Yep.
Okay, and then
Yep.
you don't like, do you lay in bed for even just a few minutes, or do you just
Yeah.
like get right up?
Yeah. Yeah. No. So my alarm goes off literally by, I think by the second chirp, I'm already like hitting the phone. Like I got it like memorized, like where it sits on the thing. So I'm like, bang, I like smash it. And right away, I've trained myself to, and I worked on this for so long that I wanted to focus 3 to 5 minutes on things that I'm grateful for. So I learned that, I mean, gosh, I don't know how many times I heard it until I had to let it sit in, but gratitude is when you can embrace gratitude in life, shit changes in life. Like
Mm.
it just changes. Like we won't dive into it, just changes. So 3 to 5 minutes. And I think a lot of people get mixed up in that. I'm talking like, oh, I'm grateful that my dog's laying on my legs right now and my son's laying sideways between me and the wife. So she's way over there and I'm way over here. And oh, maybe I got his feet, maybe I got his head, and whatever the case may be. And I'm grateful that I woke up breathing again today. I'm grateful that I got my fingers, my toes. I think we kind of overcomplicate this, thinking we need so much. Like I just want to be grateful. You know what I mean? So 3 to 5 minutes of that. I instantly wake up. I used to use the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method until I just kicked myself in the ass long enough that I just get up. I think that's important to remember. You just got to keep going.
Count anymore. I did the counting thing too for a little bit, but yeah, I don't
It
need that
works.
anymore. Yeah,
It
it really does.
works.
Like, hey, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna talk myself out of all the reasons why I probably need a little bit more sleep, because I
Right.
sometimes do that. Like, oh, I went to
Right.
bed a little bit later. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Like, there's always reasons why you think I
Always
need a
a
little bit
reason.
more sleep. Yeah.
To this day, reasons still pop into my brain, and I have to be like, shh,
Mm-hmm.
your volume's down, my volume's up. As Susan likes to say, our holistic nurse, who's in charge here, right? It's like you ask yourself the question, you put yourself in charge. So then I get up, I wake right up out of bed. I throw my sweatpants on, I throw my sweatshirt on, I go into the bathroom, I brush my teeth. As I brush my teeth, I start thinking, because then what I do is I learn this cool thing called habit stacking. So now I started doing that, right? And that changes the way that your brain wires and fires, right? That changes the cortexes and everything. So then I do habit stacking. So I brush my teeth, and then immediately after brushing my teeth, I take cold water and I let it sit on my face like 3 or 4 times, like handfuls of water, because cold is just amazing. Like it's the greatest shot of life ever when you get used to it. And then
Yeah.
from there, I look at myself in the mirror, and I used to learn to look through myself. So that's something you want to not do. I look at myself, like soul to soul, eyeball to eyeball, and I high five myself. And that's another habit I stacked on that I stole from Mel Robbins, the high five habit. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there, I take it one step further, and I literally go like this and I press, like I literally squeeze, and I high five my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm telling myself, Crystal, which I couldn't do for so many years, is I love you. I got you. No matter what happens, like you're going to make it through today. And that's literally the start of my day. And then from there, I go out, I drink a huge 24-ounce bottle of electrolytes. So I literally like flash awaken my cells, and it's like, boom, the burst of energy. I put the dishes away from the dishwasher. It's habit after habit after habit after. This is literally my cycle. No joke. This is how, like, dishwasher. From there, I make my coffee. My coffee gets ready. I load the dogs up. I open up the garage, and I head out for a 1 mile dog walk. And by that time, I've already listened to what's called the Daily Fire, which is a Brendan Burchard thing, which I know you know Brendan, but I love that dude. So he fires me up every morning as I'm doing my dishes and stuff, because to me, that's free time. I used to be a time waster. I wasted so much time. It was ridiculous. It made me want to vomit when I figured it out. So I listen, I get my brain more fired up. I take notes, I do a little journal, and then from there, I take the dogs out for a walk. When we come back from a walk, it's go time for my workout. So then I reload my water bottle back up, and I come out in my garage and I crush it. And I got a time limit for that, because then I got to get back inside so I can wake up Crystal, and then she can get up and do hers, and I can listen for the little guy. And that's literally like that part of my morning. And then we get ready and we have our smoothie bowls, and then I leave for the day.
Nice. Those are great habits that you've got in place.
Well,
And
thanks.
obviously you're very consistent with it. Sounds like you've got it all in place. There's no question about it. It happens every day.
Yeah, every day,
Yeah.
even the weekends.
Oh, that's really,
Even
you
the
wake up.
weekends.
Good for you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you said about this habit stacking. I think it would be cool for you to elaborate because I do believe as well that that has been one of the best things that I have began to adapt over the past few years. Is I
Mm.
used to just overload myself with trying to set, with all these new goals and things, especially this time of year, like, okay, I'm going to do this more and this more and this more. But like what I've learned is, by starting small with the little things, and then you start once you get those in place, they just happen without you even thinking about it. Then you
Mm-hmm.
add another little piece to it. Like one of the things that you were talking about with your morning routine, I started because I know it's important to practice using your less dominant hand because it's also one way that's good for your brain. So I'm there's a whole list of things that you can do to help exercise that part of your brain. But one simple thing that I do every single morning is it's a habit now, but for a while I kept having to, like, it was hard for me to remember to do it. But now I always know that every time I get into the shower, I always start it on cold and go warm. So it's really only
Mm-hmm.
about 20 seconds of a cold shower. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really count, I don't think, because I don't let it go that long. And I brush my teeth with my left hand, and that's the only brain, boosting thing that I really do every single day, but I plan to do more.
Yeah.
But tell us why you think that's so beneficial.
Yeah. So listen, I I just want to preface this. I am not the expert in this, but I'm a really good student. And I think that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
really important, I think this is really, that's an important thing that I don't know why that just came to my heart, but I want people to know that because I think you and I are so much alike. Like I also beat the shit out of myself for years. And I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars I spent in programs and courses and books and books.
Hmm.
Like I was looking at all my books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of them, like I'm like, there's only so much information you can learn, Jesse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you really look at like the context of a division, like self development, for instance, yeah, you're going to learn nuggets from each person for sure, which is why I believe you never stop learning. But the foundation is pretty much the foundation. And it's
Yeah.
like, I had to come to this realization that like, I just had to do it. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
not perfection or whatever, but you just had to do it. So I think it works, Crystal. I'm prefacing that because this is really rooted in research and science, which I know you and I are really big on, to make sure that like, yeah, okay, it sounds cool, but like, is there actual like study behind it? You know what I mean? I'm at a
Yeah.
point in my life where it's like, I don't want to waste any more time. Like I wasted enough time that like I don't want to waste any more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to maximize everything. So habit stacking is the simplest way to one, add more things into your life that you know you want to do. Notice I said not what you need to do, what you know you want to do. It's very important that you're
Hmm.
doing what you want to do, and not what somebody else is telling you to do because you think that's going to be the magical thing. Like you got to do it for you. And then you just simply take something that you're already do every day, brushing your teeth or taking a shower or going to the bathroom. I mean, I don't know, whatever you do every day,
Yeah.
and you stack something else onto it. Like, so from my, I used to went in and brushed my teeth and I came out. I never did anything else. So now it's adding those extra things of, okay, the cold water, the fire up the neurons, the high five I learned after that was added. Then I added the high five to the heart because that just felt amazing, right? Like
Yeah.
I struggled with that. Like I never, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like I still struggle with that. So I need the reminder every day. Like you're good, dude. Like you're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's getting that. And then there's science in it, and I can't quote it, but I can post it for people later so they can go and listen and find the information because I want them to have it. It literally I forgot the word that they use in psychology, what it is, but it literally helps connect different pathways in the brain that actually allow you to continue going. Like how freaking cool is that? I was like,
Hmm.
that seems like a kindergarten trick to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why would I not do that? Before I would hear these things and then not actually put them in. I go, oh, that's a really cool idea, and then for whatever reason, I never did it. I don't know why. I can't really give you a good reason besides I'm an idiot. So now I just do it. And I found that I feel so much better. Like I feel like a rock star, Crystal, by the time the morning, like when I'm ready to go, because it's like I feel so accomplished. Where before it was just scrolling on social media, listening to other people's stories, getting a negative impression. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
still have a positive attitude, but I can tell the difference of just like I'm fired up and I'm wired and I'm laser focused. And that's where I know I need to be in order to attack what I want to attack.
Mm. I love that. So now tell us more about your goals for the new year for 2023.
Okay. Um, you just want like the basic stuff, like who I want to be. I went through your sheet, by the way. Just
Okay,
I
cool.
hope I hope I hope people used it. So are you asking me like what I want to be?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, so I kept these really straightforward and simple because another thing that I learned about goals and a lot of research behind them is I was setting way too many too quick.
Mm-hmm.
I have dreams and then I have goals. And there's a big, big difference between the two. And I got those mixed up for such a long period of time. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. I want to be the most amazing father feasibly possible. I struggle a bit with the relationship with my dad, and it's really hard for me. I've fought the battle because my daughter's up north in Massachusetts. I'm in North Carolina. Unfortunately, I made some stupid life decisions when I was younger that took me down different paths. And I had to make some hard choices, and I have to fly back there every month to see her, which I do. We love, and it's our weekend, and we have time, and I get her on school vacations. But for me, like I believe I'm an amazing dad. I don't think I'm not, but I just want to up level that relationship this year, and maybe that means I call her more versus just text, like physically reach out and say, how are you? And I try to do this, but she's a little teenager, they're going on 13,
Mm-hmm.
13 going on 18. But these are
Yeah.
things that I'm gonna do to show up for me. So that's one. I also want to be the best husband possible. If I'm being fully transparent, I'm a good guy and I will take a bullet for her. But at the same time, I know I can do so much better. It's been a struggle for both of us this year with the baby. That shit is hard. That is
Yeah.
hard. Especially when you're running businesses, especially when time is crunched already. And I get it. I know people, you're like, Jesse, you're preaching to the choir. I know, but this is for me.
Yeah.
So for me, what do I mean by that? Well, I know that we can create certain friction in our relationship based off of target things that we do. I've humbled myself enough to put my male ego in check and be like, okay, dude, how hard is it to write a tiny little sticky note and just say, I'm freaking proud of you. I love you. Have a good day. Like, right? That in her eyes would make me a better partner, right? Like that's so
Mm-hmm.
easy. Okay, great. I can do something like that. Other things that I can do is just make sure that I don't take things for granted and I say thank you more. And I think I say thank you a lot, but I can do more. So I'm just at this point where it's like, okay, things are cool, but like I know there's more. And that's what I'm reaching for this year is that more. Like I want that fat, juicy, delicious, dripping cheeseburger. I want that, right? Like
Yeah.
I want more, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be someone who serves people and provides value to other people's lives. That's a big, huge thing that drives me every single day. Like it just lights me on fire. I try to fight it. It's like I don't want to deal with all these people. Like I love it. Like I love it, and I want more of it. And I just want to keep bettering myself in the areas of self development and getting more real with myself, really, so I can just hopefully show up and help other people, like people that were me 5 months ago, or a year ago, or 10 years ago. Like, how can I speed that process up for them so they don't have to go through the pile of shit that I went through?
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
want to. That's what I want to do.
Oh,
So
I love that.
those are my focus areas.
Awesome. I love that so much. And like I said at the beginning, I think this is going to be a lot of fun for us to um, collectively work on becoming a newer, better, slightly better version of ourselves than we were last year. I think that's what we're all driven by grow. We all want to grow, and it's not like we have to beat ourselves up in order to grow, like we'll never be enough kind of thing, but just kind of knowing that what gives us that sense of fulfillment and passion for life is growth, forward
Mm,
movement, and our brains are designed for balancing out um, routine and novelty. Like, I feel like, um, when we talk about routines and certain habits and how we have certain things in place, but also s- understanding the value in those routines actually frees up that space for novelty and creativity. Because when we're spending so much of our mental energy on trying to think, use our brains to do all these things that we need to do, that sucks us of that valuable, like, mental energy that is
mm,
there, can be used for creating more of our life. So when I used to feel so conflicted with the whole, like, um scheduling and routines and being really structured, because then I would hear all this opposite kind of advice around spontaneity and going with the flow, and that's been something that has really been on my mind a lot lately. And I started to understand that, oh duh, like, it's not one or the other. Like, I have to recognize my black and white thinking. It's not like routine versus
mm,
flow. It's both of them combined, a little bit of routine, a little bit of flow. And
mm,
that's where I'm trying to find a nice balance between the two, because I tend to go way too far with the routine and the schedules, and not leaving space in my calendar, even, like leaving open space for just sitting with nothing. And that's, I
mm,
think, one message, and it sounds like you've really tackled this. One message, I think, if we could leave, or inspire anyone listening to, um, pay really close attention to how much time we're spending on our phones, because we all know that that's, like, plaguing many of us. And if we could get that one thing in order and get healthy habits and have some discipline around it, you will, because it's so easy to grab our phones in every single moment of silence, waiting in lines. It's just, we never really have that time anymore where, remember as a teenager where you'd be bored on those summer days and there was literally nothing to do, you know? There was no phones, like, you literally had to sit there until you thought of something to do. And that's the opportunity that we've lost a lot of that opportunity. And I don't think, especially our kids, it's hard. They don't see the value in sitting there and having nothing to do. Like, there is so much value in, that's where we open up our minds to possibilities, new, innovative, creative ideas. And that's what keeps us getting out, excited to get out of bed in the morning. It's like, what gets me out of bed in the morning is remembering that if I don't get up now, I've lost that hour or two of complete silence that I can just use for myself. Because the rest of the day, people need me. There's just, it's we're all over the place. So that's what
mhm,
gets me out of bed. And the reason why that's so valuable to me is because it's the time where I'm free to just think and ponder and come up with new ideas. And during the day, it doesn't happen when there's so many responsibilities, so many things that we have to do every single day. So just recognizing the value in not having our phone. So that's the one habit that I've kicked, was not getting on my phone first thing in the morning, because I realized that it was stealing my valuable mental energy that could be used for creating the life that I really want, that gets me excited. And, those ideas, when those ideas come and they start flowing, that's what gets you so excited and you get fired up. You're like, oh my gosh, like just the other day when I was getting my massage, I had this whole dog brain. I was thinking about the interview with Seinfeld, and I was like, that's the moment where I could just sit there and think, And my massage therapists now know that we just don't talk because that's my thinking time. And I sit there and I just ponder, and it's just so exciting. Like I got out of the massage and I went straight to my notebook in my car because I make sure I have notebooks everywhere. And I wrote down all these ideas that were coming to me. And it's just so cool to see how that makes you feel inside, that excitement, the passion, when these creative things start coming together for you. So thank you for sharing the things that you're hoping to accomplish this year. And I think it's a lot of fun to hear a little bit more about your personal life that's even separate from your health and fitness goals, because we know you as that. So to get a little more personal with you, it's really nice to see the parts of you that you're hoping to improve.
Well, thanks.
In the areas that maybe you think you're not excelling at as much as you are with your fitness and your health. It's like, maybe I can put some energy over here a little bit and over there. And so anything else that you feel like you would want to share as far as what you think has held you back from achieving certain things in the past? And maybe if you feel like you've gotten to a better place now, or that you still maybe even struggle a little bit with it.
Okay, so the simple answer is fear. And a lot of that was the what if fear that I've now since learned. The what, even when I started health coaching, right? It's like, I knew I had this feeling, this calling to want to do it. Like when I had this realization myself, I figured it out. I was like, holy crap, like people need to know this, because I wasted so much time and energy and money and resources on nonsense when it can be this, and it's that fear of, like, who the hell are you? Why should anybody listen to you? Like, you were the little fat kid growing up. You've made all these mistakes. You did drugs for a couple years. You lied. You know what I mean? Like, and then I've come to realize it's like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I lived life. Like I went through crazy stages. I dealt with these things as a child. Like, I had to figure out that trauma. So, it's, I say fear, but it's when you go in, you do all that work, you realize it's huge. It's a lot of different things. You know what I mean? That held me back. But really, it was more fear, like imposter syndrome fear in a way, and then also just fear of like what other people would think. Fear of failing, fear of putting everything into it and looking like a complete ass because something didn't go right after I said it would. And oh man, I've already looked like a complete ass my entire life. Like, how many more mistakes are you going to make, Jesse? Like, how many more times? Like, these are conversations I had in my brain over and over and over and over and over again. Like, talk about sucking time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So fear is something that's there. I can't tell you honestly that it's away, because I don't think it ever goes away. But I do think you learn how to control that SOB a little bit better.
Yeah.
And you can identify triggers that trigger you, and you can set plans in place of what you're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, I've named mine. They're too vulgar to speak on live. Like, I don't want to, but you can name these identities. Okay, Freddie.
Yeah.
And when they come up, like, I tell Freddie to go, have a good day. But it's a constant practice. Like it's a daily practice. You know what I mean? Like, because I get triggered all the time. Like, and it's not perfect, but it's definitely something that, has been able to help me utilize my time that I realized I was wasting and put it towards things that are actually moving the needle in my life. Because I realized that it wasn't going to move unless I actually did the things that would make it move. Like, hello. Get that from Joe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I just like, it's just having these conversations, these things. And it's also, I was willing to do the work. Like I'm still willing to do the work. I'm willing to learn that, I used to think I didn't have emotions because I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't, whatever. I've since learned that I was suppressing all the things that I didn't want to bring back up. It was my mask. It was my mask of identity to protect myself. It's something that I grew from a childhood, from my childhood, and I brought it with me. And, I struggle. I still struggle with intimate conversation, deep conversation. Like, that's why I love your husband, because we were literally both sitting at a kava. I don't know if people know, it's I think it's better Chipotle. And we're crying at the table in public, like telling each other stories. It was just like the coolest thing ever, But that's hard for me. Like I fully, trust in him. And it's hard for me to do that, even with, with my relationships. If I'm being really honest, like that's one of the things that I'm working on, is just being more vulnerable in that. And, not being scared to share like my authentic self. Like, no, these are my real wants. A lot of times, like, how many times have we faked like things that we want, or we say yes when we really mean no, or like just simple stuff like that, Crystal, that like I realized like all that language programmed into it's called like, neurons, like it programmed into that, and then I realized the people that I was surrounding myself with, we have these things called mirror neurons. And you mirror, like they say, like you're the sum of the 5 people around you. Well, that's a real thing. Like science has shown it. Like it's called mirror neurons. So then it's like identifying that, So getting out of it, I think I'm still on point, right? Like with this, I hope I'm not going off. But so getting out of it, from all that crap, was just a slow, hard, still hard, but so worth it process of adding these new layers, adding these new pieces, I can say that one of the things that is, and I know you agree with this too, it's, I can't believe I'm going to say this on public, in public, big, strong Jesse, journaling, like journaling. Like, you know how many years I promised myself I was going to journal, and then all the little voices in my head were like, oh, you sissy cat, they weren't these words, they were other words, but
because
it was
why?
like,
Because you're a man, like men don't write in journals. Is that, what is it specifically?
I think that was like the thing that I thought. And then, it's crazy. I think I was like, it was more like protecting my own ego. Does that even make sense? Like, I don't know what I was scared of. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's the most amazing thing. And I'm going to be honest, at first, it's not. It's not. Like, if you're not a journaler, you're going to like get these like prompted questions. You're going to be like, what the fuck am I supposed to say right now? Especially, and I'm, excuse my language, but like, I'm just being real. Like, you're going to be like, okay, this is stupid. You're going to want to quit. You're going to want to whatever. That's your old brain speaking. This is where you have to learn to make a shift and catch that son of a gun and be like, no, it's like sit, like the crazy dog. You're sit. Tell that dog to sit, the new dog's coming to play, but journaling is, my God, I learned a lot of this from Brendan too. Like, I got to give credit where credit. I don't know why he was able to do it, but he's the guy who got me able to do it. Maybe because it's because I paid for his program and I was so sick and tired of paying for programs and not following through that I was
Yeah.
like, come on, you sucker.
Well, I do think we all come upon these people that just speak to us in a specific way, and we all have the certain
Yeah.
people, and like we're
Yeah.
not all Tony Robbins fans. It's just we
Right.
get the information from the people that speak what we like truly resonates with us. So Brendan was your guy. He just said it the way you needed to hear it. That made
Yeah.
the most sense for you.
For sure.
But like you said, they're
Yeah.
all saying some similar
Same thing.
messages. It's just you got to find the
Same thing.
person that like speaks to your soul.
For sure. For sure. But I can tell people journaling is a practice that, like I preach, I tell everybody like protein is non-negotiable. Like I don't care what other choices you choose. Protein's non-negotiable. Hydrating your body and moving your ass is non-negotiable. Like that's the foundation, right? I really believe based off of, I was so proud of myself, Crystal. I got a badge this morning. I literally took a picture of it. This is how proud I am of myself because this is a huge thing for me. Like I know it sounds so crazy, but I literally just hit a 30-day journaling streak.
Oh, awesome.
30-day
Oh, so you
journaling
mark
streak.
it in your phone, but you write on a piece of paper or a notebook, right? Or do you write it on your phone?
Yeah, so I use an app.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to go ahead and plug it, but I use an app called Growth Day. And there's a basic version, a pro version, and whatever, so people can kind of check it out, whatever. But it's an app that Brendan started, and it has all teachers. It's not just him. It's across the realm of self development. Like your highest paid, like $50,000 keynote speakers are teaching in this thing all the time. And you can literally take notes on classes. You do your journaling. There's a morning routine, an evening routine. You can evaluate your life scores, your weekly life scores, your daily life scores, your monthly life scores, see where you're at. And it's all in one place. And I think that was my biggest thing before is I didn't have like the books and stuff. I would go through like different ones and lose them and like have it all over the place. And I just feel so much more grounded with everything right here and easily accessible. So that's kind of how I do it, and it tracks everything for me. So that's where that came from.
Oh, that's so awesome. One little tip I wanted to add to the whole journaling thing, which you brought up some good points, like your resistance around journaling, and it comes in many different forms. It just all depends, and I know that some of my resistance was, I think I was slightly afraid of being 100% honest about what I was really thinking. And the honesty, once you can finally like let go, and if you're scared to like be honest, like somebody might read this, like that was always something like I don't want anyone to know what I really think about myself. I don't even want to admit it to myself that I'm thinking this about myself. And so I realized that I was holding back for the first like half of my life when I was writing in my journal, because I thought somebody might read this, I got to keep it positive, and it's more about my personal history and for my posterity. But I didn't really think about it in terms of my my growth and my personal development, and discovering more about what was going on inside of me and in my head and what my beliefs were. I didn't about myself. I don't think I was really clear on how I truly saw myself. I was afraid to even admit to myself that I was so insecure. Like, no, I don't want to be someone known as insecure. I don't want people to know I'm insecure in any way. And I don't even want to tell myself. I don't want myself to know, so I was hiding from myself. And once I could get honest, and I think one tip I would recommend is just using a piece of paper and throwing it away. If you're afraid of getting that out or anyone seeing it, but also knowing that I think we're afraid of admitting anything negative because of this is where the law of attraction can kind of be a bad thing if you misunderstand it. Like, you are so afraid of saying anything negative because you believe that it might enhance it. So as much as we're trying to be really mindful of our words and our language and our thoughts, that does not negate the power of true being radically honest and allowing yourself to feel and think whatever it is you are feeling in the moment. So let it all come up naturally, raw and honest, And don't be afraid of it. Like, oh no, if I admit it, I'm going to attract more of it. But no, that's part of the process, is letting it come to the surface, giving it a voice, whatever emotion that you're feeling, giving it a voice, letting it speak what it's feeling. Let yourself be honest about what you're thinking. And like you said, being a people pleaser, Jesse, like you would do things you didn't want to do, or you would, and we all do that to some degree. And if you can just start to be honest about, do you really want to do this? Like, you're doing this. Are you pretending that you want to do this? Like, can you get honest there? Be honest with yourself. Let yourself really think and feel what you truly think and feel, and don't shame yourself for feeling and thinking the way that you are. And then that's
For
the
sure.
first step. That's the
For
first step.
sure. I love that. Can I add to that? Do you mind if I add to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can close
Because
this out, because I shared everything I wanted to. So you just
okay. Well,
take it away.
I just want to share another way with somebody real quick, because I really hope people can, if they take anything, I really hope that they start a journaling practice, because if you knew me, like if you can you imagine me saying this at the beginning of our friendship? Like,
Yeah.
do you remember? Like, can you
Yeah.
imagine Jesse saying this shit? Like, no way. I'm gonna be really real with you guys. I'm gonna share with you some of my journal entries, because I want you to
Okay.
see too that they can be very different, and they're very different for different people. So mine come up, this is one of the things that's in this thing. It's called a morning routine. And I don't do it every single one, because I do different journal entries. Sometimes it's about a call that I heard. It's questions that were asked in the call, and I go, oh shit, like, what do I really want to show up as today? Or what are the three things that are going to move the needle towards this goal today? And that's what I focus on. And that could be a journal. It could be your feelings. It could be so much. And I think a lot of people that don't understand journaling the right way, they think that it's all has to be the mushy, the raw, the real. Like, I have to, like, spill my heart out and put on a Romeo and Juliet scene. Like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So here we go.
Yeah.
One thing that I can get excited about today, this was before NYKO. I said, show up my best and most importantly, authentic self at NYKO. Get excited about creating experiences for other people. That was my mission going into. So that was my intention. If one word could describe the kind of person I want to be today, then that word is, and I choose it because, deliberate in my actions towards Crystal and our relationship. I shared with you that was one of my personal goals that I'm working on. Someone who needs me on my A game today is me. I need me on my freaking A game today. The situation that might stress me out or trip me up today could be, and the way that my best self would deal with that is not having the extra time that I need to move forward, somehow become a better planner. I'm not there yet, but I definitely can learn the skills. Every freaking minute matters, Jesse. Let's go. Right?
Mm.
So I'm just like, these are some of my, someone I could surprise with a note, gift, or sign of appreciation today. Crystal, and I did that. I stuck a note on her coffee that day, and it was the greatest day in the entire world. Right? Simple things. Show up in my game plan. Like, so just know that, like, it can be different things. Like, these are a lot of my journal entries, because I'm laser focused on business goals right now, and laser focused on getting to where I want to get in 5 years from now. Like, so everything that I'm kind of doing, and that's another way that people can do, so that way they don't, I was very scared of sharing, and the more that I write, the easier it's been for me to start to be authentic and real with myself. Because just like looking at yourself in the mirror, not looking through yourself, but looking at yourself in the mirror, it's extremely hard to do. And I just want you to know that it's okay. It's supposed to be. Don't run from fear. Don't run from pain. Like, embrace that shit. You're a human and you can do hard things. And if you truly want change, if you want things to be different in your life, if you want the needle to move, you're going to have to be willing to do hard things. And that's why we have a community, and that's why we have friends. That's why we have, our circles that we choose. Like, choose wisely, choose wisely. but that's
Mm-hmm.
why we have them, right? Because that's the support. That's, we need connection. We need to go through battle together with people. It's what we were designed. I mean, it's a human instinct, right? That connection. So yeah, so I wanted to share that with people, because that was there too. So I think that's really important.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we could combine our call tonight because
I'm
this has
super excited.
just been perfect.
I want to do more. Like, I want to do
I
so
know.
much more with you. I want to learn from you, and I want to mingle in conversation, because I like, literally, I hope you guys took my advice in the beginning. I have literally a page of notes. Um, you're never going to get anywhere unless you start doing the action. Like, I mean, I can only tell you, like, I know when I sat there and listened and showed up to calls, but I never did the action, you know what happened? Nothing. Shit. Nothing happened in my life. Nothing that I
Mm-hmm.
dreamed of, nothing that I wanted, nothing that I thought I should, whatever. Nothing happened. And this crazy magical thing happened, right? When I started to put in the daily action and just take the steps, messy, nasty, ugly, not perfect, the complete opposite, like all the things that I was scared of, when I just did it, things started to change, and things keep
Mm-hmm.
changing, and then it keeps adding, and it keeps getting better, right? Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Like, it's up to me in 2023. Like, that's what we're talking about. Taking that action, doing the do, putting in the daily work. So
Mm-hmm.
super excited about that. Do you have anything else you want to drop in there? Or are you good to go?
I think the last thing I'd want to say is just that either way, like if you choose not to follow through on your goals, because you mentioned how it's challenging, you got to do the hard things, but either you're gonna feel like sometimes you're gonna feel like shit working on
Yes.
the things that are doing the hard
Yes.
things,
You
but
can say
if you
shit on
don't,
my call.
okay, good. I still have a hard time swearing. I'm like shit. So but if you don't do them, you're gonna feel like shit. So why don't you choose the one that's actually moving you forward?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Guys, do not miss tomorrow night's call, the Come Alive call. Captain Caveman, Sean Escobar, and myself, we're going to be on there. I think we got one share, one small testimonial, and then Sean and I have two really huge special announcements that we got for you guys. So don't miss that. Spread the word. Make sure you tag your team. We're going to do an NYKO recap. I can only tell you, I am so fired up. Like, I have not been this fired up since literally the first year that I joined, and then in my push where I was. And, for me, it's been stagnant too. Like, I feel you. I understand. But let me tell you something. I witnessed this with my own two eyes this past weekend. Things are about to light on fire. Make sure that your caboose is ready to be connected to this freaking jet engine, because it is going to take off. So do not miss that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can find that call on Sean's wall. You can find it in the ERShred group, www.ershredders.com. Do me a favor, guys. Please drop into the comments. I know you guys have been putting in there, but what were your biggest takeaways? Let Crystal know. What were your biggest takeaways? What are you going to do? How are you going to commit to yourself? How are you going to show up for yourself this year? And what three things, just three, what three things are you looking for? Are you going to commit to? Are you going to do this year to up-level yourself and become a better human being? Because I know one thing, Crystal, I know you believe this too. We freaking believe that you deserve it. We believe you deserve it. We believe in you. We got your back. Let's show up and let's kick the serious shit out of this year, because we've had enough of the last two, right? We've had enough.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, my friends. Let's go. Crystal, thank you so much. That was an amazing block of time, and I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you, Jesse. I loved
All
it.
right.
So thank you
All right.
everyone for joining us. We'll see you guys
All right.
on tomorrow night's call.
All right, guys. Good night. Bye-bye.